Governor Kelly vetoes a bill that would ban trans girls from women's sports. Why she made the decision, that's straight ahead. Plus, medical marijuana on hold. Why some legislators say they no longer support it. Plus, could higher pay be on the way for legislators? That's straight ahead. You're taking a look inside Kansas politics. Welcome in. I'm Denisha Richard. We're starting with news today. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly has vetoed a bill that would ban trans athletes from women's sports. The Fairness in Women's Sports Act was banned on Friday. In a statement, Kelly said in part, quote, "We all want a fair and safe place for our kids to play and compete. That's why I support the Kansas State High School Activities Association, which was set up to ensure nobody has an unfair advantage on the playing field." Kelly then added, quote, "The legislature should let the association do its job." Now, Republicans would need 27 votes in the Senate and 84 votes in the House to override that veto. Medical marijuana in Kansas is on hold. Lawmakers are tabling the bill after a final round of hearings earlier this week. Law enforcement officers, doctors, and Republican state officials voiced their concerns over the bill. Some believe legalization would allow the black market to run rampant. Others pointed to potential issues with mental health and law enforcement. Republicans on the committee voted to table working on that bill, and both of the two Democrats on the committee, they voted against the move.
I'm no longer a proponent, I'm an opponent. And the reason of that is because of the knowledge and all of what we have been given. I did not know the effects of what this medicinal marijuana could have on individuals.
Now that the bill is being tabled, that means no further action will be taken unless lawmakers decide to bring it back up this year. The Kansas school choice bill has passed, but the debate on the issue among legislators continue. Proponents of the bill say it is geared toward low-income and low-performing students. The money could be used for private school tuition, school supplies like textbooks, and tutoring. Students eligible for free or reduced lunch would also qualify for the program. Republicans bundled the bill with money for special education and teacher pay raises. Some Democrats, they have advocated for these issues in the past, but they say they're not biting. Democrats believe the cost of the bill outweighs the benefits. They argue it is funneling public tax dollars into public education. Some Republicans argue the bill would negatively affect schools in rural areas. Meanwhile, Kansas lawmakers are taking up a bill that would let the State Board of Education create new school districts. The State Senate Education Committee held a hearing on the Senate version of the bill earlier this week. In addition to allowing the state board to create new school districts, the bill would also set up an administrative review process of decisions made to close a school. This comes after local board members in Nemaha County decided to close Wetmore Academic Center at the end of this school year.
Wetmore, who I represent, has been just one of 3 rural communities that are facing closure of their school at the end of this school year. And since introducing this bill, we've become aware of at least 3 others that have those conversations ongoing in their communities.
Supporters argue that some of the decisions to close the schools have been made swiftly, leaving parents and students worried about what to do next. If the bill passes, it would allow students or parents to start an administrative review process for schools that are shut down. And a new legislation could lead to higher pay for Kansas legislators. The bill was passed last Thursday in the House. It will create a 9-person commission not currently affiliated with the legislature. The group would then review and set legislator pay rates. The commission would also recommend legislator retirement benefits. However, legislators, they would have the option to reject the proposed pay rate with the agreement of both the House and the Senate. A large crowd gathered at the State House earlier last week, urging lawmakers to expand Medicaid this year. The rally was hosted by Alliance for Healthy Kansas. According to the advocacy group, tens of thousands of Kansans fall into the health insurance coverage gap. So that means they could be living in poverty, but they're unable to get any help. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly, who has pushed for the Medicaid expansion this year, also joined the rally, demanding lawmakers take action.
A select few in the legislature continue to block expansion, going against the wants and needs of their own constituents.
We have some people standing in our way, and this is what I have to say to them. Shame on you.
According to Fort Hays State University's survey last year, more than 7 in 10 Kansas supporters and voters, they support expanding Medicaid. Still, Kansas is one of 11 states that have yet to take that step. The House Agricultural Committee held a hearing on the bill earlier this week that would promote hemp for cows. Lawmakers are hoping to address concerns over the safety of feeding hemp to animals, as well as how it could impact humans that consume products like milk or meat.
I'd be curious to know what they expect the benefits to be for the cattle, and what kind of problems they might foresee in the future, whether there's any concern about the THC levels reaching the cattle and the milk and the meat that we eat.
This bill comes after Kansas State University did a study last year on the impact of feeding hemp to cows. The study says hemp could be a natural way to reduce stress-related respiratory infections for cattle. This could happen when they're being transported or weaned off of their mothers. Well, we now have an update on the massive Keystone Pipeline oil spill in Kansas. For the first time, pipeline operators are fielding questions from the state's top leaders. This comes after U.S. regulators slapped restrictions on the pipeline last week. Inside Kansas Politics Capitol Bureau reporter Rebecca Chung was there during a hearing with the lawmakers.
The lawmakers grilled Keystone Pipeline operators about the aftermath of the spill that happened back in December. Questions about safety, payments for damages, and lack of transparency were just some of the biggest takeaways.
What does TC Energy make of the increased frequency and severity of these spills? And ultimately, what are you doing to make sure this doesn't happen again?
Keystone Pipeline operators are under fire after a massive oil spill in northeast Kansas near the Nebraska border.
We're going to make sure that whatever caused this incident, we're going to figure that out, and we're going to rectify it.
Hundreds of thousands of gallons of crude oil spilled into a creek in Washington County back in December. The spill threatening wildlife, killing at least 71 fish in the creek and impacting nearby land.
How much money has been paid out to the landowners in the form of claims?
I don't know the specifics offhand of the agreements that we've signed with the landowners, but I would say that we will fully compensate them for the damages.
Months later, U.S. regulators are cutting the high operating pressure of the pipeline. So far, operators say they're complying and moving forward with recovery efforts. However, there was little to share on how long the cleanup would take, or when a months-long no-fly zone rule would be lifted to allow people to view the site of the spill.
When do you anticipate that no-fly zone to be removed?
The reason that we've been able to, I think, have the effective response that we've had and able to get to the point where we're at 95% cleaned up is the fact that we've really contained this site to only the people that need to be there.
When I've inquired about it in the past, safety was cited as a concern for the presence of those drones. And I do understand that consideration, but I do think there is a need for transparency and accountability.
Now, we've been asking since last year in December to access the site, but TC Energy has declined our requests, and pipeline operators are still trying to identify what caused the spill. For now, reporting at the Capitol, I'm Rebecca Chung.
All right, thanks, Rebecca, for that update from the Capitol building. U.S. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen addresses the recent bank closure crisis. Up next, why she says she has faith in the U.S. banking system. Plus, a drop in border crossings ahead of President Biden's visit to the border. We'll tell you what those numbers are. And Biden has a few demands for his social media app TikTok, or else what he wants them to do. That's straight ahead.
New Sound is hosting a dinner at the Bread Bowl in Hiawatha. If you have questions about hearing loss, hearing aids, tinnitus, or any of the recent FDA changes, this event is for you, and it's free. Call today for a reservation.
The story of Grace Med has always been told through its people, both those who serve and those who it is our honor to serve. We meet at the intersection of compassion and vulnerability, bringing health where there was illness and hope where there was despair. Our patients come to us bearing the weight of living in the margins, and we share the love of Jesus Christ with them by providing compassionate quality health care for all their physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. Because health restored is always hope renewed. Find hope today by scheduling an appointment with Grace Med.
This tire is made for a person that needs more traction in snow and mud and for that next hunting trip. Whereas this tire is made for that person that needs to get to work on time and have that nice, smooth, quiet ride to the next soccer tournament. Our customers keep coming back because they value our trusted relationship and our highly trained technicians and staff. So if you haven't tried us in a while, Give us a call or visit us at either of our two locations, 1735 North Kansas or our new location at 17th and Topeka Boulevard.
Thanks for putting me in my booster.
You're welcome.
Wait a minute, do you have your booster?
The past 2 years have been, well, rough. We all lost a lot of time doing the things we love with the ones we care about most. Don't lose any more time. Get your COVID-19 booster shot today.
I love you, Grandma.
I love you, sweetheart.
And make the most of every single moment with the most important people in your life.
Danny was given a bottle of vodka taped to his hand.
He was told to drink it. Finish it. Danny suffered massive brain damage, paralyzed. This did not have to occur. Next, Dr. Phil.
Monday at 3 on 27 KSNT.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. I'm Denisha Richard. Women's reproductive health, it may be at the cusp of a major change. A federal judge in Texas is deciding on whether to repeal the Food and Drug Administration's approval of the abortion pill mifepristone. If he overturns the approval, the medication that's used in over half of all U.S. abortions will be pulled off shelves nationwide. Deja Burns has more from Texas.
The legal battle over access to abortion continues.
I value life. I think it's extremely precious.
I remember before Roe v. Wade, and now I'm looking at it all over again.
At the center of the debate this time, the abortion pill, mifepristone. It's part of a 2-drug regimen that terminates pregnancies.
In our post-Roe world, medication abortion is one of the last access that millions of women and pregnant people across this country have.
A group of anti-abortion medical organizations and doctors, known as the Alliance for Hippocratic Medicine, filed a lawsuit in Texas, arguing the government did not adequately evaluate the safety of the drug.
We're asking the court to do what is right, to follow and ask the FDA to follow the law by taking these dangerous drugs off the marketplace.
The FDA says the plaintiff's claims are unsupported by any evidence. The U.S. District Judge hearing the case, Matthew Kaczmarek, has a history of anti-abortion stances. Those who support a woman's right to choose tell me this is another attempt to hinder abortion access nationwide.
We should all be incredibly concerned about what's happening and how the opposition is using the court structure essentially to continue to erode access to sexual and reproductive health care.
The Trump-appointed judge could make a decision on the matter as soon as this week, a ruling with nationwide implications.
Now, you may remember earlier last month, Attorney General Chris Kobach sent a letter to both Walgreens and CVS urging them not to distribute the abortion pill here in the state of Kansas. Meanwhile, Republican U.S. senators say they have a new plan to curb President Biden's student loan forgiveness program. GOP senators announced on Friday they will introduce a resolution to stop the program. This comes after the plan faces uncertainty in the U.S. Supreme Court. If the resolution passes, Biden's student loan forgiveness program would be overturned, also preventing a similar plan proposal unless it was put into law. Some Democrats, they say they're also against the program. It is set to cost about $400 billion. The U.S. added around 311,000 jobs in February, a number far above what analysts had predicted. The jobs report is good news for President Biden, who says his economic growth strategy is working. But it raises more questions about inflation and interest rate hikes, with Americans still facing sky-high prices. This as markets are reacting to regulators' move to shut down to the Silicon Valley Bank, the country's 16th largest U.S. bank. And Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen was on Capitol Hill on Thursday to testify on President Biden's 2024 budget. She also updated the committee on the recent developments in the banking system. Here's what she told senators.
This week, the government took decisive and forceful actions to stabilize and strengthen public confidence in our financial system. First, we worked with the Federal Reserve and FDIC to protect all depositors of the 2 failed banks. On Monday morning, customers were able to access all of the money in their deposit accounts so they could make payroll and pay the bills.
Now, in the midst of that, President Joe Biden, he's urging Congress to crack down on the executives of those failed banks. Last week, Biden told Congress to grant more power to the FDIC to punish executives of banks that fail and need federal assistance. Now, these include penalties, back pay, instituting fines, and even barring them from working in the banking industry ever again. A source close to TikTok confirms to NBC News that the Biden administration has demanded that TikTok's Chinese owners, ByteDance, sell their stakes in the app or face a possible ban in the U.S. This marks a dramatic shift in the Biden administration's policy toward the hugely popular app, which has 100 million users. Citing people familiar with the matter, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that the administration is demanding TikTok's Chinese owners sell their stake in the social media giant or face a possible ban of the app here in the U.S. Now, such a ban would likely face major legal challenges before even being enacted. The issue here is growing fears that China could use the app to access American data, particularly because of a national security law that requires companies to turn over customer data if requested to government officials. China is saying that the U.S. has failed to prove that TikTok threatens national security. And former President Donald Trump can now post on YouTube again. The platform announced on Friday they will lift restrictions that Trump has faced since 2021 following the Capitol riot. Although Trump was banned from Twitter and Facebook, he was actually only restricted from uploading new content on YouTube. Now, Trump's Twitter account was restored last year, and he also gained access to his Facebook page back in February. And the drop in illegal border crossings along the southwest border started in January after the Biden administration announced stricter immigration measures, and it continued into the month of February. Now, this data was released by the U.S. Customs and Border Protection. U.S. Border Patrol officials encountered migrants over 128,000 times trying to cross the border last month, which was slightly less than January's numbers, which was a little bit over 128,913 migrants. It's also the lowest number of encounters per month since February 2021. Now, the agency and the number of encounters, that doesn't necessarily equate to individual people, since some migrants repeatedly tried to cross the border. U.S. Border Patrol officials say about 25% of those encountered in February were repeat encounters, meaning that at some time during the last 12 months, they have already been detained by the U.S. officials as they tried to enter the country. While tensions between the U.S. and Russia are escalating. That's after a Russian fighter jet downed an unmanned U.S. drone. What NATO says they'll have to do next. That's straight ahead.
At the Mattress Hub, we believe that healthy sleep has the power to change the way you live. So we're giving you savings on the best brands in sleep. Find these Sealy mattresses on sale up to 25% off. All this plus free delivery and our famous 1-year comfort guarantee. Only at the Mattress Hub.
Hi, Clay Sherwood, Swims and Sweeps. I'm here with Frank and Dean, the CEOs of Cute, and we're here to show you our wall of fire. We have Hearthstone wood-burning stoves and fireplaces. Frank and Dean just can't get enough of the Hearthstone stoves. We have electric fireplaces, a variety of gas-burning fireplaces, both vented and non-vented. We also clean chimneys. So let Swims and Sweeps keep you warm this winter.
Play the 27 KSNT Basketball Challenge. Sign up for your chance to win a 65-inch 4K Smart TV and pizza for an entire year. Join now at KSNT.com. Sponsored by Kansas 811 and these fine sponsors.
Introducing our new redesigned 27 News app. Our new app features a sleek, modern design, an easy-to-navigate home screen with quick access to local news content and a localized weather forecast. Subscribing to notifications is easier, and with one tap, you have access to recent push notifications. There are more ways to watch and find video, and the red light alert badge notifies you when we're streaming. Download or update our 27 News app today.
Monday morning.
It's going to be fine. Keanu Reeves is here. I'm just telling you.
Keanu Reeves from John Wick Chapter 4. Plus, Reggae Jean Page.
Monday morning at 11 on 27 KSNT.
Wilmer Valderrama. And
Scott Hoying from Pentatonics. Plus, we're making ice cream with science. I'm coming to you, Callie.
Monday at 1 on 27 KSNT.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. I'm Denisha Richard. Tensions between the U.S. and Russia are escalating after a Russian fighter jet downed an unmanned U.S. drone in international airspace. The Pentagon released dramatic footage of the encounter, saying the Russian fighters harassed and dumped fuel on the drone. This as NATO ally Poland announced it will send fighter jets to help Ukraine fight Russia aggression. A move that could be a game changer for the Ukrainian war effort, but could provoke retaliation from Russia. Alice Barr has more from Washington.
The Pentagon releasing dramatic new video today showing the moment when the U.S. military says a Russian fighter jet dumped fuel onto an unmanned U.S. drone before colliding with it, temporarily cutting out the camera feed. You can then see the drone's propeller looks clearly damaged, forcing the military to down it in the Black Sea and wipe its sensitive data. All of it happening in international airspace.
Given the reckless and dangerous behavior, and to demonstrate publicly what type of actions the Russians had taken, we felt that it was important to provide this imagery. 3 U.S. officials telling NBC News the order for the aggressive actions came straight from top Kremlin leaders.
And they're trying to send a message, and they're trying to kind of back us off.
Russia has denied its plane came into contact with the drone while criticizing the U.S. for conducting surveillance near Russia's borders, it says to help Ukraine. U.S. officials say they've resumed diplomatic communications with Russia while sending a clear message.
And we will continue to exercise our rights in international airspace. Clearly, we do not seek armed conflicts with Russia.
It all comes as Poland announced it will send fighter jets to help Ukraine fight Russia, the first NATO ally to take the step that many Republicans have been pressing President Biden for.
When we show that we are strong, we won't have adversaries that are poking us in the eye.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has signaled providing fighter jets would be a major escalation, setting up a delicate balance for the Biden administration and its steadfast support for Ukraine.
The International Criminal Court issued an arrest warrant on Friday for Russian President Vladimir Putin, accusing him of being responsible for war crimes committed in Ukraine. Putin is allegedly responsible for the war crime of unlawful deportation of children and the unlawful transfer of children from Ukraine to Russia, the court, which is based in the Netherlands, said in a news release. There are reasonable grounds to believe that Putin bears individual criminal responsibility for the crimes, according to the court. It added that he had allegedly failed to exercise control properly over civilian and military subordinates who committed the acts or allowed for their commission and who were under his effective authority and control. Putin's presidential commissioner for children's rights is also alleged to have committed similar crimes, according to the ICC. And the press secretary for Putin rejected the findings of the ICC. He says, "We do not recognize this court. We do not recognize the jurisdiction of this court. This is how we treat this." Coming up, a new legislation hearing on hemp. Stay with us. We'll take a look at what you can expect on the legislature next week. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
I'm Diana Cox.
And I'm Steve Matukowicz. Together with Washburn University,
we're bringing you a special series highlighting exceptional women in our local communities.
Watch Everything Woman on 27 News. Sponsored by Sharp Honda, Topeka ER and Hospital, and Washburn University. 27 News is working for you. As the Jayhawks and Wildcats participate on the national stage, our 27 News sports team is covering their every move, traveling with the teams as they go through the tournament.
Now, it did start close, but KU fans are kind of used to that by now.
It could go into Saturday morning, but I'll be here to break it all down. And of course, we'll give you coverage of that game.
Count on 27 News for the most comprehensive coverage of K-State and KU. 27 News, working for you.
The story of Grace Med has always been told through its people, both those who serve and those who it is our honor to serve. We meet at the intersection of compassion and vulnerability, bringing health where there was illness and hope where there was despair. Our patients come to us bearing the weight of living in the margins, and we share the love of Jesus Christ with them by providing compassionate quality health care for all their physical, emotional, and spiritual needs. Because health restored is always hope renewed. Find hope today by scheduling an appointment with GraceMed.
K-State, KU, all sports.
Join us every Sunday night right after 27 News at 10.
As we bring you another exciting week of K-Nation.
Sponsored by K-State Superstore and 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline.
Ready for a good time? You can count me in, Kelly Clarkson.
I have too much fun on the show. The Kelly Clarkson Show.
That's me 5 days a week. Line me up. Fun guest.
I get to hang out with Kelly Clarkson. Come on.
Big moments.
Maybe you needed a new car.
It's all on Kelly. I love this job.
Weekdays at 1 on 27 KSNT.
The stories you need to know.
They just ripped the ATM out of the wall.
Up in a Black Hawk helicopter.
Were you trying to rip me off?
Inside Edition.
These are the stories that impact your life.
Weekdays at 2 on 27 KSNT.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. I'm Denisha Richard. Now for a look at a few hearings to look forward to next week on the Kansas legislature. On Monday, March 20th, House Bill 2439 will be heard, requiring notification to patients that the effects of a medication abortion may be reversible. Happening on Wednesday, March 22, House Bill 2427, requiring school districts to provide separate accommodations for students of each biological sex on overnight school-sponsored trips. Also happening on Wednesday, Senate Bill 34, expanding the use and availability of rural housing incentive districts. And another hearing on Wednesday, House Bill 2451, specifying the concentration of THC in hemp. And that was your look inside Kansas politics. If you want to keep up to date on all things Kansas politics, follow us on social media. You can follow us on Twitter at @InKansasPolitics. We'll also post a full video on YouTube. Just search KSNT News and check ksnt.com/inside-kansas-politics for past episodes. If you have a story you want Kansas state legislators to know, let us know. We'll see you right here, same time, same place next week.